Hey friends, it's Shannon. I wanted to do this video on mushrooms. I know I've done other videos on mushrooms, but I thought I'd get a little bit more in depth this time, especially because mushrooms are a hot topic these days. A much hotter topic than they've been pretty much ever. And I've been doing mushrooms for, gosh, 20 years. Actually, this year is 20 years that I started getting really involved in mushrooms. And I thought I would go deep into why I started intaking mushrooms. Hold that thought because I have my coffee with mushrooms right now. Why I got into mushrooms in the first place and how it healed my body. Mushrooms are literally magical, medicinal mushrooms, that is. And I know that there's a lot of hype and a lot of talk about microdosing right now with psilocybin. We're not going to talk about psilocybin today, but we're going to talk about, in particular, lion's mane. I might touch on chaga and reishi as well, because they've also been a really big component in my life. But how lion's mane really has changed my life and really healed my body in so many different ways. I'm really lucky that we live in Alberta because we can grow lion's mane here abundantly. It's throughout Alberta and through BC. You can get some beautiful lion's mane mushrooms, and if it's cultivated right and harvested properly, you can have an abundance of this mushroom at your disposal. Or you can even do better or easier, I should say. And there's some really great companies that provide lion's mane mushrooms. So also, if there's questions about the companies and you want to know what I love, then you can message me and I can give you that information too. But about 20 years ago, I ended up getting sick. I had well, I guess it was a virus that attacked my central nervous system, and it caused me to have Guillain-Barré, or some people call it Guillain-Barré, or however you want to pronounce it. And what's really interesting with that is when the symptoms and stuff started coming on, I really went through a really rough time because doctors thought I was a complete nut job and that I was making things up. I originally started with a really massive pain that went from the base of my head all the way to the base of my spine. And this pain was I can't even describe to you the pain. Like, I had a baby. I was in labor for 43 hours, you guys, okay? This pain was, it's different, but it was freaking awful. It was almost as bad as the 43 hours in labor, maybe even worse, because there was no end in sight when I first started getting it. So so I started, what I didn't realize what was going on. I just knew there was this pain that started, and because the pain was so bad, I started throwing up, and I was throwing up multiple times a day because the pain was just excruciating. And I was having really bad tingling in my hands and my feet. And I went to the doctor and they told me it was just the flu. Side note, any common sense person knows that the flu does not feel like that. But they told me I had the flu. I was really frustrated because I knew it wasn't. I knew there was something really wrong. And I went to a different doctor. They said the same thing. And as a couple of days progressed, my tingling started to get worse. And then I went to a big hospital and waited a long time to get in to see a doctor. And then they, admitted me or whatever, or not admitted me, sorry, they took me in and did all the tests. And it was really interesting at that time because, again, I was throwing up consistently every day from the pain that was going down my neck and back. And the doctor was so mean to me. I still remember her name. She was horrible to me. She said, you're such a hypochondriac. Don't bother coming back here. Literally. And I was with my friend at that time, and she knew, like, I'm a very holistic person. I've been a holistic nutritionist for many, many years, over 20. Now it's this year is actually 25 years. I don't I'm not somebody that even goes to the doctor unless it's severely needed. So I'm definitely not a hypochondriac. So it was really frustrating for me and really proved my point of why I hate the medical system. And so yeah, they just told me to leave. And when the next day I get up and I had a bath, and I couldn't feel the difference between scalding hot water and cold water at all. Zero difference. There was zero difference. And that scared me. Like I couldn't feel anything. And then I went to another doctor, another hospital, and they didn't take me seriously either. Then the very next day, I went to hold my purse. It was just a small clutch purse, and I couldn't hold on to it. Like my muscles stopped working in my hands. And that really scared me. And I thought, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Nobody believes me. Nobody is taking me seriously at all. And so I just kept on taking a lot of, juicing greens and taking chlorella and spirulina and stuff that I knew was going to energize my body and try to heal it, since the doctors did not believe me. And then the next day, things started to get a lot worse. So I went to a couple more doctors, again, told to go home. Then 3 days after that, so this is like a whole period of 7 days that this had gone on. And then on like the seventh or eighth day, I decided, you know what, I'm going to try to go for a walk. I'm just going to try to go for a walk. And I was getting out for a walk for like a minute, and then my left leg stopped corresponding with my brain, and I just went down onto the pavement completely. It wouldn't function at all. And I thought, oh my God, something really bad is going on. Like I have to call somebody. So I crawled back up into my house, because I had a few steps up into my walk, and I went to grab some water because it was hot outside. So grab some water, and the water poured down my face. I was like, what is going on? And I looked in the mirror, and this side of my face was drooping all the way down. So I called a doctor, and this again, my family doctor. I'd already seen her a couple times. This was again 20 years ago. And she was like, oh my God, you've had a stroke. So call somebody and get in. So I called my friend's mom at the time, and she came and picked me up and took me to the hospital. And now I'm in a wheelchair. And I go into the hospital, and there was two nurses at the front, and one of the nurses remembered me after she typed my name in, and she was like, oh, she was just here a few days ago. We've checked her over. There's nothing wrong with her. And the other nurse was like, clearly there's something wrong with her. Clearly. So they ended up bickering because one wanted to admit me, the other one said no. So the nurse that knew something was wrong, again, a 5-year-old could look at me and be like, yeah, there's something wrong with this girl. She was like, you know what, I'm admitting her. So she came in and grabbed my wheelchair and took me down. Thank God for this nurse. I'll never forget her, because she was definitely an angel for me. That she was there that day beside that lady. That wasn't just that one lady that was standing there. So they took me down, and they admitted me. And then again, thank goodness, there was a new doctor, like a younger doctor that was open-minded and, wasn't too quick to write me off. He was doing some tests on my mobility and different things, and he was like, I think I know what's wrong with you. I think I know. And so they ordered me to get an MRI, and then they had a spinal tap, which to this day I remember how long that needle is. And that was 20 years ago. And to this day, I still feel exactly where that needle had gone in to my back. It's almost like a bruise that's never left. And they had asked me all these questions, and then they had diagnosed me with Guillain-Barré. And they said, it's really interesting, because they asked me if I had the flu shot, because apparently what I didn't realize is that when people get the flu shot, that's one of the common side effects, is getting this nerve damage and, well, I guess disease, I don't know what you call it, that attacks the central nervous system. And I never had the flu shot. Never had a flu shot. I will never have a flu shot. And so they were really perplexed at how I had contracted it. And so they had several neurologists working on me because they didn't know. So they said, what's going on? They said, you're really lucky that you were this stubborn to keep coming back to the hospital, because the tingling that was in my arms and legs was going up into my lungs. And they said within 48 hours, my lungs would have been shut down. It would have shut my lungs down. I would have been dead at home. So there you go, guys. Lesson number one: you know your body better than anybody on this planet. And so when you have a really strong intuition, whether it be for yourself or for your child, you get as many other diagnoses, like keep getting second opinions, third opinions, 10 opinions if need be, if you know in your gut that what they're saying is either wrong, or you know that they're misdiagnosing you, or if they're saying that there's nothing wrong and you know there is, you keep on that journey of figuring it out, because your gut never lies to you. You are so intelligent. There's a high intelligence within our inner being that so many of us are not tapped into, or we are led to believe that it's not right. And it is. We are very, very powerful beings. So never let somebody tell you that you don't know what you're talking about when it comes to your own body, and if you feel something does not feel right. So you keep moving along and trucking away and doing the very best to figure it out, because I believe that answers are out there. So yeah, so they admitted me into ICU immediately. They said that the tingling still was moving up into my lungs and was going to shut my lungs down. But now I was in a hospital setting, so it was going to be okay. They said a lot of the times with Guillain-Barré is that a lot of people will get to the point where they can only move their eyes. So they're fully paralyzed. And so they wanted me to call my family and tell them that, I was in this shape, and my parents lived on the other side of Canada at that time. And I said, absolutely not. I'm not going to tell them. And here's the reason why I was not going to tell them to worry, is because I had an innate intuition that I was going to be okay. It wasn't even like a thought, like maybe I'll be okay. It was like, no, I'm going to be okay. Again, strong intuition. I believe that prior to that, meditation and really connecting with myself and knowing myself really helped me, even though I was 25 years old at the time. So I was put into ICU, and immediately I would just start meditating. And the key thing that I want to say is, in life, small things start to happen and you start to get stressed out or worried about things, and then big things. But sometimes when your life is dependent on it, you really can hone in and dig deep in within yourself and find this inner strength that you didn't even freaking know you had. And that's what happened during that time. I'm a worrier by nature. Like, I just always been a worrier. And when I was in the hospital, there was not one hair of a fear that came into my mind. Not one hair. I wouldn't allow it. It was like I was able to pull in this power that was within me and not allow one hair of a fearful thought, because I knew that one little piece of fear would expand and create more fear, because that's what it does. So I didn't allow fear, and I was very positive. I was meditating every time I was alone, and I was deep into visualization. And I mean, there's no social media back then, so it was like I wasn't on stuff. I was deep into visualizing my future and how I was healing and feeling my body being healed. And so I did not get to the space that they said I was going to get, which was being completely paralyzed, but I couldn't move my arms and my legs. Meaning I could pick up a piece of paper, but nothing more than a piece of paper. And I couldn't really move, like I couldn't pick up water or anything like that. I had to be fed. And it was really interesting because like this side of my face was still paralyzed. They thought both sides. But I knew, and I ended up starting to heal very quickly. I still had to be like bathed and taken to the bathroom, and, was, not able to function that way on my own. but I made a lot of jokes, and I was making jokes because had my lip. Can't do it now right now, but had my lip up, and like I was Elvis, and I was joking, saying, you know, well, at least if I don't heal, then I could be a great Elvis impersonator. And it was funny because I was making these jokes and cracking them, and the nurses were like, "Oh, don't say that. Don't make that joke." And you know, I think in times of illness, being lighthearted and laughing about things actually really helps to heal you faster, rather than being concerned and stressed out about it. You know, I did call my parents and tell them I was in the hospital. I did tell them not to worry because I knew that I was going to heal and come out of it. And so as I was in there, meditating and visualizing, and things started to get better, the doctors were shocked, like absolutely shocked at how fast I was getting better. So over, you know, a period of a few weeks of being in there, and then I was sent home where I still couldn't lift a potato and I couldn't, you know, really walk well. But when I got home, it was great because my brother helped me. My brother lived with me at that time, and he was really big into health as well. And they told me I would never feel my hands and my feet again. The feeling would never come back. And so we were juicing a lot of really great organic juices of fruits and vegetables, and just really cleaning out my system. And I was doing a ton of therapies, which maybe I'll go into another video about, but it's really in depth. But my brother introduced me to lion's mane, and he's, you know, take hyperdose with this and see how you feel. And I started doing a lot of the lion's mane, and I started doing B12, methylcobalamin. Really important to know there's different forms of B12. Pharmacy grade is cyanocobalamin. It's not efficient for the body at all. So methylcobalamin is definitely a therapeutic source to get. I was doing the B12 of that because it's really good for the nerves too. But lion's mane in particular is really good for helping with neuropathy, helping to regenerate nerve cells and nerve growth. It helps with the brain. You know, they used to say, can't teach an old dog new tricks, and the truth of that is that's not true. Is that our brains are malleable, and that we can create new nerve growth within the brain. So you know, we're looking at, there's just neuroplasticity and so many amazing new things that we've found out over the last 20 years. And you know, at that time I was just getting involved in that. And another thing, just to be very clear too, when I was in the hospital, I did not eat any of the hospital food. My brother was bringing me food, and I especially didn't eat any gluten. Here's why, is because when you take in gluten, it's a very high inflammatory food. So if you have any autoimmune conditions of any kind, even if you're not celiac, it will inflame your body. If you have any nerve problems, it will inflame those nerve problems even more. So going off gluten is essential. And you guys, in 2023, it's not an issue like it was in 2000, whatever year it was when I was there. There was nothing gluten-free. So everything was just fruits and vegetables, you know, or organic, you know, fats and stuff like that I was taking in. And I was able to reduce that inflammation dramatically. And then when I got home, taking the lion's mane and taking the B12, the lion's mane literally changed my life. You guys, in 2 weeks of taking the high dose of lion's mane, I regained all feeling in my hands and feet, 100%. They told me it was going to take me about 5 years to walk properly, because a lot of people, it took them a long time to get back on track. I was running in 6 months. 6 months. So there's a host of things. Lion's mane was number one for helping to heal and regenerate my nerves. Now to go to why I was throwing up so much, why that pain was so bad. So they were trying to give me Tylenol and stuff in the hospital. And again, I never take a Tylenol or Advil ever, unless I'm like in something severe. But when I would take a Tylenol when I was in the hospital, my pain was 10,000 times worse. So what they kept saying was, oh, it's your muscles, it's your muscles. And then once I found out that I was Guillain-Barré, they found out it was my central nervous system that was inflamed. So when you take a pharmaceutical drug, because it's foreign to the body, your body is like, hell freaking no. And so my body was reacting even worse. And then, you know, they wanted to give me laxatives because my digestion wasn't working. And I said no, because I knew from being a nutritionist that laxatives are horrible. They cause so much inflammation in the gut as well, causes leaky gut, like holes in the intestines, like just not good. So when I got home, I started doing enemas, and then eventually I was going to colonics and helping my body heal and regenerate that way, taking good sources of prebiotics and probiotics and that kind of thing to heal and regenerate my body. But the other thing with lion's mane that a lot of people don't know, because you hear so much about lion's mane helping with nerve growth and healing with nerves and stuff, but it also helps with microbiome, like having a healthy gut. And I knew there was something that had happened to me, and that caused this issue in the first place, whether it was chronic stress, because I was chronically stressed, or if I ate something that was really bad. You know, at the time I thought maybe parasites, like I didn't know. I also did parasite cleanses and stuff after, but the lion's mane regenerated and healed my body. And also I know I had done another video with mushrooms and how it helps to enhance our consciousness and it elevate our awareness. And it does, like my consciousness and my awareness about spirituality, life, who I am, really took me to another level. It really did. And also because of that experience, I saw the power that I hold within me, and that I can create and I can do anything if I really set my mind to it, and I set aside that fear that can hold us down and holds most of us down. You know, we see over the last couple of years how when we are in a fear state, and we are in a fear state for a long period of time, it affects our limbic system. We completely affects our brain and our adrenals, and then we actually cannot think rationally, you guys. That's why after a couple of years and things kind of went back to normal, a lot of people, I'd say most people, were still traumatized and still walking around in crazy fear of germs and fearful of this or that, when in reality there's nothing to be fearful over, because we are so powerful within ourselves. And if we take care of this beautiful temple, we can create the life that we want and the body that we want and the health that we desire. We have that within us, but we just can't think rationally when we're in that fearful state. So taking the lion's mane had really helped me enhance my ability to really tap more deeply into my intuition than what I already had prior. So it is a beautiful, beautiful healing mushroom. And to top it off, it's also amazing for your immune system. So if you have an underactive immune system of any kind, it helps to bring it back up. If you have an overactive immune system, it helps to bring it back into balance, because it's an immunomodulator. So it's a miracle to me, and I'm always, for the past 20 years, extremely grateful for the experience that my brother gave to me for that. And I am grateful for the mushrooms, and I believe that there's an intelligence in mushrooms. I really do. I really do. And Joe Rogan does too. I've watched different things on him that they talk about how there's an intelligence with mushrooms, and that it changes us. It does. It changes us on a big level. And I want you guys to know that I was running in 6 months, and years ago I competed in fitness competitions, and I competed a year after that in a fitness competition doing bouncing back forces. This is not when, like now, where it's like people are standing and posing. It's like the fitness was like you did a routine and you're like doing front flips and cartwheels and all that type of stuff, the splits and all of that. And that's what I did. And so the doctors were shocked. It was funny because they said, "Oh, you're an anomaly. You're an anomaly. Like, how did this even happen?" I'm not an anomaly. I'm not. It's just I chose not to go into that fear mode and eat the crappy food that was in the hospital. How it's a hospital that's supposed to help people, and yet the food is absolutely disgustingly toxic for the body, you know? Um Anyway, that's another topic. But uh, I'm not an anomaly. It's we have the mind power and we have an internal intelligence within us. So I'm saying this to you because I know if you're going through something that you can tap in and remove that fear and really anchor yourself into your power. You can do it. And there are so many herbs and supplements and medicinal mushrooms out there that will help you massively. You know, our earth is so depleted, the soil is so depleted in the minerals that it's supposed to have because we have not been replacing it every time we've harvested, that we need to take supplements. Like, it's just impossible for us to have a rich diet and think we're getting everything in this day and age. It's just the food is not the way it was even 40 years ago, 25 years ago. So, if this is something that you might be questioning, should I take mushrooms? Blah, blah, blah. And the other thing is, too, is that, you know, the medical system, they don't take nutrition in school. If they do, it's a week. Most universities, unfortunately, especially in the States, they don't take any nutrition. So when people are like, well, I'm going to ask my doctor about it, it's really hard because they don't know much. So I go to a functional doctor, which is a medical doctor that also deals with naturopathy, or go see a naturopathic doctor to get answers because your medical doctor is not going to know nothing about mushrooms. So, anyway, um, all the power to you. You are powerful, and I will talk to you guys later. If you like this video, you can like and subscribe, and I will be posting more.